What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here, and welcome to episode 262 of Shadows and Pretties. And today we're going to be looking at this 1994 miniseries called The Stand. This is also known as Stephen King's The Stand, which is based on the 1978 novel called The Stand by Stephen King. So, I am going to be talking about the 1990 fourth miniseries, not the 2020 remake of that series, because I heard the 2020 remake of it has like negative reviews and it's not even that good to begin with. Like, I already looked online, I was like, no, I'm not going to review the remake of the series because I honestly really like this one, which is a television miniseries that came out in 1994. So, anyways, it's a pretty good series. There is 4 episodes of this story, and it's got pretty good acting. Like, we got a lot of good actors. We also have Bill Fagerbakke, or Back, or whoever it is, the voice of Patrick Starr in this movie, which I didn't know until much later, which that's pretty interesting. We also got Stephen King, the novel, in this story too. Also, he has made some appearances. So yeah, the production of it was taking place. The shooting started in around and lasted for 6 months and stuff. So the characters of this is pretty good as well. So the episode releases of the Stand miniseries has the episodes such as the Plague, the Dreams, the Betrayal, and the Stand. I mean, it's a really great series, and I really do love the book, but I don't really like the remake of it. I mean, the remake of it just wasn't really that good from what I've seen people saying, oh, it's not good. So I don't plan to review the remake of the Stan series, but I am willing to do the original one, which that's the one I'm pretty much doing right now. So I'm gonna pretty much go through, the plot and, basically talk about what they're about and stuff, especially for those who haven't seen, these type of mini series in a while, and most of you guys would like a refresher on that. So yeah. And for those who haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend the original series of The Stand. Do not check out the 2020 remake of it because from what I have seen and read about it, it is garbage. So, I mean, not every single remake is bad, but there are some that are good out there. So the plot of this is about on takes place on June 13th at a top secret government laboratory in rural California. A weaponized version of influenza called Project Blue gets accidentally released. US Army soldier, Charlie Chaplin, escapes the lab and flees across the country with his wife and daughter, unintentionally spreading the virus. So on June 17th, Campen then crashes his car into a gas station in Arlington, Texas, where Sue Redman and some of his friends are gathered with his wife and child already dead from the superflu. So Campen warns Redman that he had been pursued by a dark man before he succumbs to the virus as well. So the next day, the U.S. military arrives to quarantine the town in orders from the General Starkey, commander of Project Blue. So the townspeople are taken to a CDC facility in Stovington, Vermont. All but Stu succumb to the superflu called Captain Trips, which by populations, which kills around 99.4% of the world's population in 2 weeks. So the scattered survivors include the would-be rock star Larry Underwood, deaf mute Nick Ardros, Franny Goldsmith and her unborn child, her teenage neighbor Harold Loader, imprisoned criminal Lloyd Hendred, and the trash can man, mentally ill Anastastus and Scavenger. The survivors began to having visions, either from kindly mother Abigail or from the demonic dark man, Randall Flagg, and the dreams of console the survivors and to travel to Nebraska to meet Abigail or to Las Vegas to join Flagg. So Lloyd is then freed from prison by Flagg in exchange from becoming a second in command. The trash can man eventually destroys the fuel tanks across the Midwest and is directed to Las Vegas by Flagg. Larry escapes New York City with a mysterious virginal woman named Nadine cross. Despite their mutual attraction, Nadine is unable to consummate a relationship with Larry because of her visions of Flag, who commands her to join him. She then leaves Larry to travel on her own, but Larry then meets a schoolteacher named Lucy and gets then a traumatized boy she calls Joe outside Des Moines, Iowa, which has been burnt to the ground after escaping the CDC facility. Stu then gathers around a group of survivors, including Franny, Harold, and former college professor Glenn Bateman. They are all joined by various other immune survivors. So Harold gets consumed with jealousy over Stu's leadership of the group and his growing relationship with Franny, whom Harold had an inquired crush with. So Nick barely escapes his attempt on his life in Shoho, Arkansas by the big-toed downtown bully and makes his way across Mid-South. Eventually, Nick ends up in May, Oklahoma, where he meets Tom Cullen, a mentally challenged man who spells every meaningful word and utters the as Moon, and the man travel together to Arkansas. They later encounter Julie Laurie, a vicious girl who vows to kill them when they refuse to let her join them. So Nick and Tom then kindly farmer Ralph they met, Ralph Brenter, and the free head west to together in Ralph's pickup truck. So Nick's group reaches Abigail's farm and Heminghood home in Nebraska, but she warns them about a great conflict is imminent and they must travel to Boulder, Colorado. The survivors from the community called Boulder Free Zone, and they began to restoring civilization. Eventually, Flag sets up a brutal autocratic regime in Las Vegas, which he rules with an iron fist, with the intent of defeating Boulder survivors using salvaged nuclear weapons, which he sends a trash man out to find. Harold's resentment towards Stu and Franny intensifies, so causing him to be seduced by Nadine and Force joins with Flag. Abigail convinces that she has fallen into the sin of pride, leaving Boulder to walk in the wilderness pretty much in an act of atonement. So the free Boulder survivors are chosen to be free by Zone own committee, who infiltrates the Las Vegas as spies. So Tom, Diane, Jurgens, and Judge Ferris, Glenn hypnotizes Tom into following the specific set of instructions, including as he leaves for Las Vegas in the next full moon. Harold and Nadine then plan to bomb in Franny and Stu's home using a demolition dynamite, planning to set it off during the meeting of the Free Zone Committee. Weakened by Abigail, she returns to town and gives a psychic warning to the council members. Most of the council members escape through the explosion, but Nick and a few others get killed. So before she dies, Abigail tells Stu, Larry, Glenn, and Ralph and Franny that God commands that the men must travel by foot to Las Vegas to confront Flag, but none of them will fall along the way. When Nadine and Harold flee the Boulder, Flag then causes Harold to be crippled in a motorcycle accident. Nadine eventually leaves him in a ravine, but he kills himself with a gun the next day. So once Nadine reaches for the desert, Flag then calls her to him, but she realizes that she has made a terrible mistake and tries to escape. But Flag declares that it's too late for her to turn back and reveals his true demonic form and violates her. Yeah, I'm not saying the other word, but you guys can understand, and most of you guys will probably get the idea what I mean by violate. So Nadine is then catatonic, follows the attack by Flag, and her hair has turned to white. Flag's men intercept Judge Ferris, who is accidentally killed by one of his henchmen. Bobby and Terry, before they can be tortured, Flag tears Bobby to pieces for not following the instructions. So upon returning to Las Vegas, Flag and Dinah brought to him, and he plans to torture her for information about the identity of the third spy. But when Flag saw Judge Ferris and Diana with his powers, but whenever he tries to see the first spy, all he sees is the moon, and after a failed attempt to kill him, Diana kills herself before he can extract any useful information from her. So eventually, Tom leaves Las Vegas when the moon is full, but Julie Laurie recognizes him and tries to alert Flag. But Tom escapes to the desert and hides himself from the demon and his men. A crazed Nadine then taunts Flag that he is losing control of his empire, and then she takes her own life by jumping off of the hotel balcony with the demon baby he conceived in her. So, with winter approaching, Stu, Larry, Glenn, and Ralph leave the boulder out to set up their quest. However, Stu breaks his leg when he falls into a dry river bend, and he must be left behind with Glenn's dog, Jokak. The remaining three get captured by Flag's forces, and a few days later, Glenn is separated from Larry and Ralph. Flag orders Lloyd to shoot and kill Glenn after he taunts him, as Larry and Ralph ensure a show trail on the Fairmont Street. Flag uses his powers to silence a descender, striking him with a ball of plasma energy emitted from his fingers. The can man arrives at the moment with towing a stolen nuclear warhead at the ATV and showing signs of radiation poisoning. So that means Flag orders Lloyd to kill him, but Flag is unable to stop the energy ball from transforming into a spectacle hand, and the hand of God it detonates as a nuclear bomb as the voice of Mother Abigail declares that it's God's promise that has been kept. So it welcomes Larry and Ralph into heaven as Las Vegas is destroyed by the nuclear blast, and Flag unfortunately gets apparently killed with all of his followers. So Stu gets rescued by Tom and they witness a nuclear explosion together. Tom and Stu find a working car and made it to a nearby cabin, where Tom sets up Stu's leg just as the winter storm arrives. Stu contracts the flu, but in a dream, Nick comes to Tom and tells him what the medicine which to give him. Stu eventually recovers from the infection after numerous days, and then the two of them made a bet return to Boulder in a snowstorm with a via snowcat. So Stu finds that Franny has given birth to a daughter, whom she named Abigail. The baby contracted the superflu, but she was able to fight off the virus. Lucy reveals that she is pregnant with Larry's child, and Joe, spectral image of Mother Abigail, as she blesses the newborn baby to ensure that the immune survivors can safely reproduce. In the inhabitants of Boulder sitting together and we're rebuilding the world, thus how the movie ends. I really like this original miniseries, like the 1994 miniseries of The Stand. I personally thought it was a really good movie. Although I will have to say I don't really like the 2020 remake of it because after seeing some reviews, I know I said this before, but it was garbage. But this original miniseries was actually pretty good. I mean, it was dark at times, but I still found it to be really enjoyable, and it's a pretty good concept for a movie, especially that it was made in the 90s. It looked like it could be a movie from the 80s because it looks like it's done in the 1980s style, but in all due reality, I still thought that it was a good film regardless. So, this miniseries is pretty good, just like the 1990 the It series, which I thought that was pretty good, as well as the remake of it. So with this one, I definitely recommend you check out the Stand series. I don't recommend the 2020 remake of the Stand because a lot of people really don't like it. So yeah, I don't ever plan to review that one, but I prefer you take a look at the original The Stand series. It's a pretty good series. You will not be disappointed. So, I haven't watched this series in like a really long time, so I'm going to have to try and find the time to actually, rewatch this series. The miniseries of this is pretty good with 4 episodes. It's pretty interesting. It definitely does have really good meaning. Like, there's like one side trying to be good and survive, the other I mean, it kind of almost looks like a zombie outbreak. Not totally a zombie outbreak because there's no zombies, but the outbreak with a certain virus being spread in this, I mean, this is actually a pretty good film. And I do really consider this to be one of the best Stephen King movies from the 90s as well as Finner, which by the way, that was the last episode I reviewed was Finner, which I thought Finner was a good movie. This one definitely stands out pretty nice, and I personally enjoyed it. So, if you like the 2020 remake of The Stand, I respect your opinion, but I do recommend you check out this 1994 original series of it. So, yeah. I don't really recommend the remake, but it's your opinion if you like it or not. So, yeah, I have not read the book The Stand in like a really long time, but the story of it is pretty nice, and I do like the movie. Well, the miniseries, but I guess you could call it a movie if you like. It's still pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It's this really well made, great film. It's definitely got a lot of good concept and stuff. It's pretty fun, and I do recommend it. So, I guess with that being said and that being the case, I could definitely say right now that the casting and the characters were pretty good. I especially love the acting and the designs of the characters, especially Flag, the demon, which I thought he was pretty interesting and he was a pretty cool villain, actually. I mean, I've seen some other Stephen King villains that worked out to be just as good as Pennywise from It. But this movie was definitely one movie I really gotta say. It's a good one. You will not be disappointed once you see this miniseries of the 1994 The Stand. Once you see the miniseries, you will not be disappointed. It's that good. Now, I haven't watched this series in like a really long time, but I do plan to rewatch it sometime. So, with that being said, and that being the case, that's pretty much all I have to say about The Stand. I can't find anything I did not like about the movie, but it's still a pretty good one regardless, even though it's about, a certain virus being spread and stuff. It's a great concept. The plot of the episodes were amazing and they're well played out. Even the acting was flat out amazing. I really enjoyed the plot. I mean, the group of survivors get together and they have to work together as a team, although some mishaps happen along the way, some issues happen, etc. It's still a pretty good film. Like for a miniseries, it's pretty good. I highly recommend you check out this miniseries if you haven't. So, yeah, like I said, do not ask me to review the remake of The Stand, the 2020 remake. I did see the trailer of it, and it's not that good. So, yeah, especially after seeing some reviews from people saying it's not good, I don't like the remake of The Stand, but this original one is the best one. So, I guess with that being said, and that being the case, what did you guys think of The Stand, like the 1994 miniseries? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this series a lot better? Feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comments below because I personally would like to hear what you all think. So, as always, I'm the Lion Queen. I want to thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will not miss an upload. Also, if you are interested in following my DeviantArt page, link to that will be in the About page section of my channel. Also, if you're interested in following my Twitter, you are more than welcome to go follow me on my Twitter account. Link to that will be in the About page section of my channel. And if you're also interested in subscribing to my backup channel known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to that one as well. So I guess with that being said, and that being the case, I am going to see you guys all in the next video. And for another review on another Stephen King movie, I'm not sure which other movie by Stephen King I will review next. But if it comes to my mind, I will definitely get it out there. So anyways, I am the Lion Queen, and I will be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out, and like always, I'll see you all next time.